You got a sweet Sweetback.
Sweetback, BaadAsssss Song was the starting film for the Blaxploitation genre. But what was interesting for me to find out, and I think I found it the other way around, this film, Watermelon Man, was the film that Melvin Van Peebles made before he made Sweetback's BaadAsssss Song. And I think it's quite interesting and important to know because it's a film that finally almost drove him into making Sweetback's BaadAsssss Song. Watermelon Man is the story of a middle-class white man living happily in suburbia, having a very average American life. But one day, he wakes up and finds out he's black. It's a hilarious movie. It's quite hard to get a hold on it, but he's playing around with stereotypes in order to dissect racism in the US, but he does that in a very funny and, well, you could say easily digestible way. You can imagine the kind of repercussions his blackness all of a sudden has within his family. And there is a similarity in some of these meanings that he's trying, some of these aspects of racism that he's trying to address that reoccur in Sweetbacks, and you'll see that later on when you see the film. Because in Watermelon Man, the main character, when he was still white, he had this joke he did every day, and that was when after he left his perfect family and he left his perfect house, he went to his perfect job, and he would run after the bus in order to get, physically in shape, or to stay in shape, and everybody would encourage him. So he would run after the bus every day, and people were like cheering along the road. But the moment he turned black in the morning, he did that. He was arrested. He was chased by a huge number of police, and that specific scene is like a key mark of blackness, not only in this film, and not even only in the US, but even in the Netherlands, I could say, because a running black man means, in a way, a criminal on the run. There's even a book written in the Netherlands for lawyers, which is called The Running Negro, because it's a very famous phenomenon of judicial flaws. In Sweetback's BaadAsssss Song, the main character, who's called Sweetback, is also running. But he's not running because he's trying to get away from something, but he's running in his struggle to fight the man. And the man is a metaphor of the authority, the system, the suppressive, dominant society. It is anarchistic in its approach of representation of the American reality for a black man, in this case Sweetbacks, but it's also anarchistic in its cinematic approach, because he had to do everything in a very short amount of time, with very little means, without the official backup of big studios. He had to make certain artistic decisions, which are also quite interesting. And he has to incorporate sex, of course, which helps him getting the film out there. Sweetback's BaadAsssss Song fueled the Blaxploitation genre, but the big critique about the genre was that it also kind of reproduced, perpetuated another set of black stereotypes, very exaggerated images of blackness, and specifically pimps and hoes, very sexualized men and women. So that was criticized by both black community, but also by society as a whole. But at the same time, they were so popular that the industry, the Hollywood industry, literally took this image in order to get very commercial, successful films.
It's like a goddamn pajama party. Hey, look, I want you to meet somebody. This here's, Mystique.
They are rebellious characters. They're rebellious by nature. the way they act, the way they looked, everything was rebellious about. The fact that they were black in a black community and the film was portraying that was a rebellion by itself. But it was also criticized for its stereotypical ideas about blackness, and particularly the perpetuation of, for instance, sexual stereotypes of black people. Cultural theorist and sociologist Stuart Hall talks about the reversing of stereotypes. So he says these are stereotypes, but they are reversing it in order to denounce it or try to reshape it in a different way.
When Foxy Brown comes to town, all the brothers gather round, 'cause she can really shake them down.
But the most interesting to me of the reversal of stereotypes, because I think in a way that's also taking place here, is Foxy Brown. She, in a way you could say that she is a very stereotypical portrayal of a very over-sexualized black woman, but she shows another trope of meanings of black female, black femininity that is quite unique. She's very powerful, she's very political.
I want justice for all of them. And I want justice for all the other people whose lives are bought and sold so that a few big shots can climb up on their backs and laugh at the law.
Pam Grier has this afro and she became famous with it. Black hair was a marker for blackness, and if you straight your hair, it was called so-called good hair because it was straight, looked more European. And if you had kinky hair, like Angela Davis, like almost every black person has by nature, it was considered bad hair. And this book is elaborating on this issue. That's Angela Davis on the right. When Pam Grier came out with her natural hair in an afro, it was a huge shock. And I've been doing research on the black hair for some time now, for a documentary together with a social researcher. And she's from Suriname, and she told me that when she was in her teenage years, she was in the Netherlands, she went back to Suriname, and there they had Blaxploitation movies, so she saw Pam Grier, and she was in total shock, because she had her hair in a way that was unthinkable within the Surinamese community, be it in the Netherlands or in Suriname. But she decided to grow her afro, and it was a complete change of her self-perception. But not only in Suriname, but also here in the Netherlands. This is my first afro. I was kind of late, 1987, Blaxploitation movies were around, but apparently it took me some time to get one. And you could think, well, it's not a very impressive afro, so what's the big deal? But the big deal is that, imagine my hair. I lived in a white environment where my ideas of black hairstyles were very much an adaptation of white hairstyles. And that's kind of hard with black hair, so this is where I came from. This is what the kind of style I had before. So in a way, I could say, you know, the Blaxploitation film has influenced me personally as well, but I think when it comes to hair, a lot of black women will recognize the mechanisms and the jokes that are hidden in Blaxploitation movies.
It's like a wild animal. Got to have that girl, George. Tonight.